Greetings, fellow travelers. Welcome on in. This is the RPG Cave, level 165. Again, I am one of your hosts, the level 199 human Dark Lord, Ryan Turford, and I'm joined once again by the level 199 Elf Battle Alchemist, Dr. Garret Bland. How's it going, Garret?
I'm doing okay. The lights are back on, so
that's good.
That's good. Yes.
That's done.
Yeah. The power just randomly went out as we live streamed Saturday. It's just like, oh, okay, completely black, just everywhere. So
the crazy thing is, you described the fact that there were nights with lights on, but no one here saw that because it just cut to when you messaged me that the power was out. It was just a still image with you with the lights still on. So,
okay.
I wouldn't have even known the power went out unless you told me.
Oh, really? Yeah, you just kept on going as
I kept
normal.
going with the still image of Garret, thinking, oh, maybe his internet's out and he'll come right back or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, but the whole power went out. Apparently when rain comes down here, the power decides to come out. So, that day we just decided to leave out and just like be out for a few hours. And then good news, it just came back on. As we came back, so
you told me a couple hours, right? Because there was like a tree
it was like 3 or 4
or
hours or something like that. So they just had to situate that, repair that. So, but everything is going well.
I've done podcasts for a long time now. This is my 10th year of podcasting, and I never, not once, have run into a situation where the power went out mid podcast. That was a first for me.
Yeah, that was a sheer coincidence, sheer chance.
Because like internet's gone out. And there have been other technical difficulties, but I've never seen the power goes out on someone's end and therefore the podcast has to stop.
Yeah, no, it's the weirdest thing. So I think that happened. I've done it. Power went out once midstream years ago. I think it was like 2019 or 2020 when I did that. So actually, back in my YouTuber days, Garret, when I was recording YouTube videos before I was live streaming. I remember there was like one Let's Play that I recorded for an hour and a half, and then the power went out halfway through it, and I was like, well, I guess this is where I'm ending the video. And I put like a little note at the end being like, oh, the power went out, so I guess we'll see you next week. Stuff happens, man. And it's just crazy, this weather. It just comes down hard when the rain comes. So anyways. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Sean Capri in the chat asking a question. Question of the show for the show: has Garret tried keeping the power on? Maybe try that.
That's a good solution, Sean. Thanks, an excellent suggestion. I will try that next time.
Thanks.
Great suggestion, though.
Also, I have to address this question as well. This comes to us from Yarden, who asks, "I hope they talk about Neon White tonight."
Well, we just said the word, so Yarden, you just forced it into reality.
This is literally the only time we're going to talk about Neon White on the show. You asking the question about Neon White. I mean, that's not a role-playing game. It's not. Maybe
it's definitely not. And it's not a card game either. Even though you have cards in your hand, it's not a card game.
Yeah. Maybe my friend Michelle would probably try and convince me it's a role-playing game because she tried to convince me that FIFA is a role-playing game. But no.
Well, you can argue any game's a role-playing game.
That's true.
At that point.
As long as you're playing a role, Garret. That was
you're playing a role of some kind,
Yeah. You're playing a role of some dude wearing a mask.
There's some progression.
Yeah.
There's a beginning, middle, end.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
Anyways, this is not the Neon White Cast. This is the RPG Cave where we talk about role-playing games all the time. So, of course, we got to clear the dungeon so we can get to the raid boss as quickly as possible. So, folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of amazing ways you can do that. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right now over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the video on demand later, or watching that live stream over at twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live, you have an important job to do, of course, making sure to hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed on YouTube, or hitting that follow button on Twitch. Both those help go a long way. Of course, if you are an Amazon Prime member, you are also a Twitch Prime member, and you can subscribe to the channel for free if you want to as part of your Amazon Prime subscription. All that stuff really helps out the channel. Also, just liking the video, hitting that like button, tap that like button that's below, but the button with the thumbs up on it, that's the like button. That helps the show get discovered as well. If you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. And then rate us if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, which, Garret, I would like you to know that 85%
of our listeners on Spotify are new to the RPG Cave this year.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
Lots of new people on
Congrats,
Spotify.
new listeners.
I love that they put out those stats. So it's not even just looking at hard numbers. It's just like, wow, a lot of people who listen to your show are brand new, which is just such a cool thing. So
Yeah, definitely.
and all that is from people, rating us on Spotify or just hitting the subscribe button. So again, your help helps the show go a long way. Also, if you want to maybe get one big podcast feed with the entire Carpool Gaming Cinematic Universe on it, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Carpool Gaming. Of course, we've got new Patreon content up there right now. Fee's Pants Podcast is now live. You can go listen to that right now. And then the final pants of 2024 is from yours truly, me, Ryan Turford. My questions post went up this week. So if you have a question for me, any question that you want, feel free to leave it over there on the old...
Ask Ryan all the questions.
Yes.
Every single question.
Please.
Is Canada okay? That's the question you should ask Ryan.
that as of today, that is probably a very relevant question, Garrett. Also, Jarlis has already added like 8 questions already. So
he
need more
writes
questions.
novels in those. I love it. It's
I love
just
it
like
too.
he sets us up. It's like a prompt for, a standardized test. I'm like, I'm ready for this. I'm ready to tell a story about your questions.
We're going to spin an old yarn on that old Paints Patreon podcast for Patreon's podcast. Also, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably like role-playing games.
Maybe.
Throwing it out there. Recently, Matt over on the PlayStation Drive, he put together, as well as some members of the Carpool Gaming community, and I believe Sean and Seth were on that episode as well. The Xenoblade Chronicles 3 spoiler
Beautiful.
cast is up there on the old Patreon. You can go check it out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I wish I would have made to that one. I think it was just a little too early for me. Of course, always Western time zone, but also I have not touched Xenoblade Chronicles 3 in almost 2 years. So I think I wouldn't have much like detailed knowledge if I, spoke about a spoiler cast or anything like that now. So,
Yeah. I mean, the ending might have been fresh in your mind thanks to Extra Life, but
yeah.
other times, other times.
I would have to watch whole stories of that thing. I like, let me tell you, I cried in some chapters. It was a rough game to go through. Anyways,
Well,
go
speaking
check
of
out the spoiler cast.
Yeah. Speaking of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, of course, Garrett, for the final time, Xenobabes is back. Of course, you can get your Xenobabes t-shirt over at carpoolgaming.com.
Go get it.
We've pulled that out of the Disney Vault one last time. So make sure to head on over there and grab that as well. Like, look at how cool this model looks while wearing our Xenobabe t-shirt. That looks pretty cool, right? It's also the holiday season, Garrett. So we also have Santa Bobby products as well. Our Santa Bobby line is also here. This, of course, is designed by Fee. She
Wonderful.
did an amazing job creating a very festive version of Bobby. Of course, we've got this on mugs. We've got the stickers, hoodies, sweatshirts, and of course, your t-shirt in case you live in Australia and your Christmas time is actually really hot outside. So,
Yeah. I know Fulia is probably just being beaten down by the heat right now in Australia. I know it gets really hot over there. They got the Outback over there.
Outback Steakhouse, yes, it's over
Outback
there.
Steak. Yep, yeah. The full franchise originated in the Outback of Australia.
I mean, where else could it have originated, Garrett? That's like saying that the Olive Garden didn't originate from an Olive Garden.
Whew, in Italy.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Breadsticks just come out of the vine.
Jesus Christ, what is even this show anymore? So, of course, make sure to go grab your Santa Bobby merch. I'm actually thinking about getting this sticker, Garrett, and like putting this on my microphone because like I've got a little section here on my microphone that always faces the camera, and I've seen other content creators do this where they'll put like a sticker here. So I'm like thinking about putting a Bobby sticker of some kind. Maybe it's the Santa.
Yeah,
Bobby
Santa
sticker
Bobby
that I go
speaking
with.
to you.
Santa Bobby speaking to me. I think
It would be Christmas every day for Ryan's streams and podcasts.
exactly. I mean, we've only got Garrett. We've only got a week left until Christmas at this point.
That's
or I
true.
should say a week and a half at this point.
Week and a half.
Yeah. Speaking of Christmas, last piece of housekeeping, of course, is that this will be the final week of Carpool Gaming live shows for the year of our Lord 2024, because we're taking a little bit of a break. All the podcasts are going on break. So, Garrett, our break is going to be the one that's happening the soonest, because even though you're getting us tonight on Monday night when we're recording this, but also our final episode will be this Sunday or this Saturday.
This
on
Saturday,
the 21st.
for sure. Yeah.
Yep. So that'll be our last podcast of the year. Of course, it'll be our big kind of like RPG of the year show that we usually do. Also, the final Xbox Drive and Nintendo Drives will be on Thursday and Friday. And then on Saturday, the final Carpool Gaming show of the year, the PlayStation Drive, round things out on Sunday. And then we will be off until January 9th, where the Nintendo Drive will return to your podcast feeds of choice. You can check them out on January 9th. And of course, our first show back at RPG Cave, Garrett, is January 11th. So
sounds good.
Mark your calendars, because we're going to have like predictions time returning, Garrett. We got to talk about the 2025 preview. We're going to have a lot to talk about when we come back.
There's a lot of RPGs coming in 2025. Let me tell you, a lot of great RPGs I want to play.
Yes,
for sure, especially in February. Especially. Yes. It rhymes with vowed. No, like savowed.
Savowed?
Yeah,
Savowed.
I don't know if that's a word.
That could be anything, Garrett. It could be.
It could be anything.
It could just be.
I'm sure I'll get points in Words with Friends with that one.
You might, Garrett. So make sure to, of course, tune in for that. Of course, also the Patreon as well will be going dark. We will have one episode of the Campfire podcast that will go up over the holiday break. I believe that's being recorded this week. We also will have our Game of the Year episode on the RPG Cave podcast feed over the week of Christmas. In fact, on Christmas Day, if you're listening on free feeds, our Game of the Year episode will be there. In case you haven't heard it yet, make sure to check it out on the podcast feed. And then the following week, we're not going to leave y'all high and dry. We will have something special going up there. We will have another classic RPG Cave episode go up on the podcast feed as well. So, we will still have stuff on the podcast feed all throughout the holiday break. So please be excited.
Please be excited.
Please be excited. But without further ado, Garrett, it is now time to hop into your three things. Oh, I'm going to just show off this real quick before you do that. I got my copy of Fantasian.
Oh, that's wonderful.
In the mail, Garrett.
Nice.
I'm very excited to play this at some point. The demo is out right now.
At some point.
People are playing it, but...
Yeah, play that demo. Of course, the traditional Square Enix published game. The demo is out. The save carries over. That's
nice.
Pretty standard at this point.
The reason I picked this up physically, Garrett, in case you're wondering, two reasons. One, it's no tax season here in Canada, so there was no. We normally have 15% tax on everything, so there was no tax on this. But this was also $20 off. I picked this up for $49.99 Canadian with no tax. So, and no shipping fees. So
15% tax. I think that's
yeah,
that's a little crazy.
Yeah, so it was already $20 off, Garrett, because I think it's $69.99 beforehand. But then there was also no 15% tax either.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I made out with like a bandit on that deal. So as soon as I saw that on there, I was just like, yep, I'm definitely picking this up. So
for sure.
There you go. Now, Garrett, please continue your three things.
Three things. One thing, how about this weather? Don't come to San Francisco during the winter months, December through February. Just don't come here at all. The rain is terrible. It's almost every day. And it's cloudy. And that's pretty much my recommendation.
Now, Garrett, I have my hand up here from the press pool here. I have a question for you.
What's your question, Ryan?
Would you rather deal with that much rain or just deal with just tons of snow?
I would deal with that much of rain over any point, but the power being out, I'm a little skeptical of this place, this building in general.
But you are aware that a tree can fall over whether it's raining or snowing, right? Like that could be anywhere. That even happens here.
That's true. But anyways, yes, I'm glad I'm out of the Northeast, Pittsburgh. I have witnessed Boston during the winter season. No, I'm good.
I was going to say, because don't get me wrong. Like, it doesn't sound like it's that great with it raining all the time, but it's also just like, well, which would you rather deal with? Because everywhere else is just snow or it's just very cold. So you gotta have to pick and choose a little bit. But that's your first thing, Garrett.
I would just recommend if you are visiting San Francisco, it's not during December through February. November's fine.
Seems fair.
October's fine. October's really good, actually. And then summer's good too, like August, September, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Good to know.
Anyways, the second thing I have, Ryan, is the backlogged.
Yes.
I did create an account in the backlogged So I've been starting to put some games in there. Of course, I'm not putting like 3,000 games, not my whole library or whatever. I tried that with the other, I don't know. I forgot the other backlog system.
It was like GG.
GG, that's it. Yeah. I tried to like, let me put like, 7,000 games in here, including my Vita and my 3DS games. And it's just like, no, absolutely not. Never again. Don't do that. Just, for me, put the things that are kind of in your radar. It's just like, okay, are you planning to play this in the next month? Is it in your head? Is it in your thought process? Okay, why don't you just jog it down and then see if you're going to play it. And so that's what I've done. I only have like 6 games in total right now in my account. It's the 2 I'm playing, Metaphor Fantasio, and then also Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. I'm playing now on 3DS. Then I got four games up and coming. I actually forgot. One Zelda 2, of course.
Of course it's Zelda 2. We that's a whole thing where you have to eventually do a podcast with me about it.
I saw the reviews in that website. Oh my gosh, people.
That's because people go into and they're like, man, Zelda 2 is going to be just like all those other Zelda games, and then it's not. And they're just like, well, this is terrible.
Yeah. One review is like, this isn't good, but there's fun to be had in here. I thought that was an interesting review.
But wouldn't that make the game fun then if there's fun to be had in the game?
I don't know. But anyways, Zelda 2, and then also I got Mass Effect in there, of course.
Of course.
I got Unicorn Overlord in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I dig.
I forgot the 4th game I put in there. Hold on. Let's see here.
Well, while you look it up, Garrett, I also, after our talks, I also made a backlogged account as well, and posted it in the Discord, and lots of people became my friend. So huge thank you to everyone who added me on backlog. There's nothing on there yet because we talked about it on Saturday before your power went out, that about like we wanted to use this to kind of like track our 2025 games since I'm not really using Twitter anymore. So this is going to be kind of my outlet for doing that now. So I will be adding stuff kind of in 2025, like when I play my 3-wheel games, and then all the games I kind of play will be added to backlogged then.
Cool. Awesome. I need to become friends with you, and everyone needs to become friends with me, and then we'll all just have a backlog of games.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you're just Bland Explosion. I'm Ryan Turford.
That's pretty much it. Yes. Yeah. 100%. The 4th game is Dragon Quest III HD 2D.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So those are the 4 games up in the old backlog, and then 2 games currently playing right now. So
nice.
There you go. That's my second thing. What was my 3rd thing that I had in here? Oh,
so you had Alan Wake or struggling to find time to play games?
Yeah. Alan Wake, I think we already discussed this before, but I think that's a good price. $30.
100% it's good for $30, dude.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I see some split opinions about Alan Wake 2, but I feel like I just need to play it because I've already played the first one pretty recently.
Yeah.
Well, recently meaning 11 months ago, but still recent.
No, but if you liked it, I think you'll like this one.
Yeah. Oh, I did one big thing. I did dust off my PS5 earlier this weekend. Nice. I haven't played that thing since Alan Wake 1.
Okay.
And then I updated the software in there. I got the anniversary stuff. And then I just started playing Ghost of Tsushima. Like, oh yeah, this is a good game. So I don't know. I feel like I'm warming up to it. I had a debate in my head. It's like, do I just trade this in for something else? But I was just like, I have some good games in here. I wanna play. Like Final Fantasy VII remake. That's a big thing. And Rebirth.
One day you should play that game.
Yeah.
Even if it's just okay. But
I hear it's good, the remake and the Rebirth.
It's just okay. I mean, Rebirth is definitely much better. But
okay.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before. Where remake, both Ron and I, in particular, neither of us are big fans of remake. Because the problem is they basically take a 6-hour portion of Final Fantasy VII, just the Midgar section,
right? The Midgar section,
and then they turn it into a 33-hour game,
which is insane.
So it's just like a lot of the stuff they add to kind of like pad out that time, in my opinion, just doesn't work, or just it just feels like filler. There's some stuff that does work, but for the most part,
I need to play it in order to play Rebirth.
100% you do.
And I need to play Crisis Core somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, you do have to play that too.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
This is too many games. I'm not putting that in the backlog right now.
No.
It's just not on my radar.
No.
No.
Nor should you. You only have so much time, Garrett. It's
Only, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I have to put Final Fantasy X in my backlog because I'm going to be playing it. So
I'm really sorry.
people in the Discord were excited when I mentioned that. They were like, yes, he's finally playing the good Final Fantasy is what I was told.
I just, when you get to that sport game, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
If there was an option to skip that, like, you can skip this whole sport. I don't know if there was an option or not. I completely forgot.
I don't think there was. Not in the original version. I didn't play the remaster. But in the original version on PS2, there's no option to skip it.
No, I just vividly remember. It's like, you want to learn the mechanics? Okay, here's like 30 pages of instructions. I'm like, buddy, I don't know what I'm doing.
God, I hate Blitzball. But you know what?
That's it.
You know what, though? I did say I'm going to give it a second chance. I'm going to give it a second chance. People keep telling me it's good. I want to see what people are talking about. So.
I literally just like went into a game and I'm like, I have zero idea what I'm doing. There's like some directions and you're passing a ball and there's a certain time limit. Anyways, we can stop talking about this game now. We're good.
100%. Because Garrett, it is now time to read from the sacred texts because it's finally time to go to the topic of the week, which is, of course, RPGs at the Game Awards. The Game Awards 2024 happened this week, and we're to talk about RPGs representation at the Game Awards, both in the winners categories, but also the announcements. And then we'll just talk about, what we think about some of this stuff. We've also got some questions from the audience, the NPCs that we'll get into as well. So sit back and relax because that's what we're doing here. We're going to, of course, start with the winners of the Game Awards, the RPG winners at the Game Awards. Starting off, top RPG winner of the Game Awards, Metaphor ReFantastico, with 3 awards: Best Narrative, Best Art Design, and Best RPG. So, of course, it was crowned Best RPG of the Year. Deservedly so, Garrett.
Deservedly so. It's a good game. It's a very good game.
Yeah. I liked it so much, Garrett, that, I posted this in the community content right before we went live because this article went up today. But at my workplace, we did our Game of the Year kind of article this year.
Yeah.
I was, of course, invited to contribute to it. And I get to talk about my favorite Game of the Year, which was Metaphor. So I wrote a little blurb about Metaphor on our Game of the Year article because I like that game a lot.
Nice. That's really cool. So this was for your work, and was it like posted on like a blog or an article or something?
It was posted on our website. So it's
cool.
Like our main website. Because I work for those that don't know, I work for a TV company. And I work on kind of the news side of things. Because our company also votes on the Game Awards. So we kind of did like a big kind of wrap-up article talking about, a little bit of the Game Awards stuff, but then also like just our favorite games of the year. Like we had a bunch of different contributors kind of chip in because we have like a little gaming group at the company. So that's pretty cool. It was just cool to be part of that. So I wanted to mention that there because that's how much I like Metaphor. It's not just I talked about it here or even the Game of the Year episode, of course, which is coming out Christmas Day, but I also talked about it at my workplace too. That's how much I like that game.
Super cool. I think I'm still not at the point where it's like everything... Everyone just keeps talking about, there's a point in the game where everything just goes crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think I hit that point just yet. I just got my 4th party member.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then I kind of dabbling a little bit more after that. So I'm still kind of in a transition between, I think that's the 3rd and 4th dungeon, like major dungeon. So
yeah, you're like not even halfway through the game at this point.
Well, I think my hour count is going to be probably more than 80 hours then.
Jesus, that's a lot. That's so many hours in Metaphor, Garrett. But
yeah,
we'll save that conversation for when you finish it because I'm very excited for us to talk spoilers.
Sounds
about
good.
Metaphor when it's over. But then other RPG winners include Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which won Best Score / Music. That honestly was deservedly so. The music in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is awesome. So if it's going to win something, I'm glad it won that. And then surprise to me, Garrett, Baldur's Gate 3 won award this year.
Best
What?
community support.
Best community support. Of course, when they put patches about like, oh, let's put more romance options and
Yeah.
let's just go crazy on that, and then some more costumes of definitely some ongoing support there. But I hear some great patches in Baldur's Gate 3 this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where like I really didn't expect like them to go this hard on updating that game over the year. But then when I looked back at some of the list of changes, because I remember someone mentioning to me that it got a lot of community support this year, I was like, oh, they added a ton of stuff to this game.
They added
for
a
free.
lot. Yeah.
That people could just go get. So yeah, I think it's deservedly so. Interestingly enough, I think this is the first year in a while that it hasn't been Final Fantasy 14 that won this category.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because Final Fantasy 14 kind of had the lock on both community support and best ongoing game, and it didn't win either one this year. So I thought that was really a really like interesting wrinkle. In fact, I'm kind of surprised, Garrett, because this year in particular, we talked about it before. Very, very strong year for role-playing games, but we just didn't see a lot of role-playing games take awards. There was lots of games that were nominated, but I think a lot of RPGs kind of just missed out this year.
Yeah, well, I think, for RPGs, it's like they're really competing for the same genre. So when it's like, okay, we know our definitive game, and then another strong game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and we got Metaphor, it's really hard to like, what games are better? It's like there's a lot of great other games as well. So it kind of just beats out the competition there. So yeah, but I definitely understand. It's like there wasn't a lot of like RPGs that won awards, but yeah, quite a few that were nominated.
That's
for sure.
true. That's true. There were lots of nominees, even in the strategy category, where Unicorn Overlord snuck in there. It lost to Frostpunk too, but it was there.
I want to try out Frostpunk too, but yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, it was strategy and simulation, which is such a weird genre to me.
Yeah.
Like, why mix those two together?
Like, why does Flight Simulator and The Sims get compared against Age of Mythology and Frostpunk? And then also Unicorn Overlord or Fire Emblem?
It's still weird that even Frostpunk 2 and Age of Mythology is compared against each other. Even though they are like orthogonal kind of strategy games, they're very different. Yeah. One's a real-time strategy game that, it's mythological and has military stuff. And then Frostpunk 2 it's a choice-based game. It's a resource-driven game. So it's, I don't know. That's a weird one. I hope they can tease that out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't mind the whole, what Jack Keighley did is like lists out the games for specific, he was quick on and I was like, I appreciate that for like the lesser ones, just to get them out of the way and so if you could do that, if you could just do, hey, one simulator, one strategy, I don't know, like something like that would
it's kind of like sports and racing, because they're also kind of shoot into one category, but they're very different from each other. Like,
I don't know if there's like enough games to put in there. Maybe that's their reason.
Yeah. Like there's probably not 5 strategy games every year or 5 simulation games every year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But Garrett, that's all for the awards. All in all, interesting year for RPGs at the awards themselves. But let's talk about the announcements, because I know that's the thing that people are getting are kind of the most excited about. So we'll kind of talk about each of these announcements, because I know there's one in particular that I know you're very excited about. Actually, you know what? Now that I look at this list, I'm like, oh, Garrett's probably excited for a lot of these. So
yeah, pretty much.
we'll talk about this, but real quick, I want to mention one RPG adjacent announcement that I didn't put on here that just came out that I was playing literally right before we went live tonight, which is Clive from Final Fantasy 16 and Tekken 8, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I posted a video in the Discord about it, Garrett, where like the stage in particular from Final Fantasy 16 that they use is so freaking cool.
Oh, really?
Like as you play through it, like the way Tekken works is like best of 6
kind of fighting rounds. So you have to get 3 wins in order to win the match.
Yeah.
So when you get to like the stage starts off and it's like Ifrit and Phoenix fighting each other, and then like the part of the arena blows up and it goes down to your 2 characters on the ground, kind of in the fiery circle where Clive fights that dragoon in Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
So then like the stage then transitions when you get to when one of the characters gets 2 wins, it will then like Ifrit will take down Phoenix, and then you'll get transported into the area where Ifrit's fighting Ifrit in the background. There's fire everywhere and like the music changes and everything. Dude, it's so cool. Like I love just the attention to detail, the stage itself. But then Clive, he gets to use all the different abilities. Like he cycles between like Garuda's abilities and Titan's abilities and Phoenix's abilities, and it's just like so cool to play as that character in that stage. So I had to point it out because I really, really thought it was awesome. And I know Flea saw the video and she even commented here. It has to be so close to purchasing Tekken 8, even though she doesn't play fighting games.
Yeah, it looked pretty epic when I saw the reveal in the trailer. So it's Clive as a playable character, and then the background stage, that bonus stage. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
And you get more songs than what is just in the stage itself to kind of add to the game as well, which is pretty cool. And
is it part of a DLC pack or is it free update?
It's part of the season 1 of DLC.
I see. Sounds good. Okay.
So it is DLC that you have to purchase on top of the game, but this is also the second time they're doing this, because the last for Tekken 7 they brought in Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. So it seems like they've got like a really good relationship with Square. Like every time there's a Tekken game, they release a new Final Fantasy character for it.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's really cool to hear. Is which one's Tekken 8? Like which company is that again?
It's Bandai Namco.
Bandai. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it came out earlier this year. It won Fighting Game of the Year this year because it's a really good game. So.
Yeah. I hear it's an overall great fighting game from just what I hear from other people.
Honestly, Garrett, going into this one, I wasn't a fan of Tekken at all, but but this game won me over to actually really liking Tekken. Like this
That's pretty cool.
I like Tekken 8 a lot. So, but anyways, that's not an RPG. That's a fighting game. Let's get into the actual RPG news. In fact, I'll get the smallest announcement out of the way real quick first. That I know, Garrett, you might not be too interested in this one, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth come to PC on January 23rd. That's literally next month, basically a month from now. Rebirth on
quick.
PC. Yeah.
So it came out. Rebirth came out late February, early March.
It was February 29th, literally the last day of February.
Okay, yeah, February 29th, less than a year.
Yep.
Coming to be, and I think they've really pushed the timescales. I think they react to this quite a bit, just because from what we hear from interviews saying that they are. Well, they always say they're disappointed with sales, but at the same time, like, we got to push multi-platform. So here you go, PC coming in next month. That's coming up quick. So cool, good for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I know people are excited because they were waiting for the PC version that came out. They didn't want to just buy a PS5 specifically for Rebirth. So I think this is probably going to sell a lot of copies on PC now that the post game awards were, it did win an award, but also, it's one of the highest rated games on Metacritic this year. I think a lot of people are going to probably pick it up on PC when it comes out.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because a lot of the Final Fantasy games are just out on Steam. Final Fantasy Remake is on Steam as well, and on PC. There's a huge I feel like there's a hidden JRPG crowd in the Steam community and the PC community that drives a lot of sales, and the Japanese companies are slowly realizing that. They're like, oh dang, we got to put this stuff on Steam ASAP. So
well, it's also part of the argument as to why Square is even putting games on Xbox at all. Because
that's true.
I think that they're also seeing as part of that audience, there is like a dedicated audience on Xbox that always buys RPGs on Xbox. So if anything goes there, like if they put Rebirth on Xbox, it would sell. It wouldn't sell as well as the other 2 platforms we discussed, Steam and PS5, but it would sell. That's just extra copies. Like it would probably more than pay for the amount of work it would put into developing and releasing it.
Do you think it'll ever come to Xbox?
I think it will, but I think that there's some kind of weirdness with the console exclusivity clause that they have with Sony, where they probably can't release any of those games on Xbox until they complete the trilogy. So I'm thinking like when they finish the 3rd game, like a year after the third Final Fantasy comes out, I think they'll all come to Xbox, probably in like a trilogy pack or something.
I don't know about trilogy pack. That seems like so much.
No, but
I think
you say this, but when Kingdom Hearts came out, Garrett, they released that in like a 23 game package on Xbox.
they did, but at the same time, it was such like it's such a collection of small and big games from Kingdom Hearts, and it's not like a huge. I mean, like, yeah, okay, they're major games, but they're not huge, like, packed content, hour-long games.
True,
I'm curious I'm just curious how they will release it on Xbox.
I mean, and again, when I'm saying like a triple pack, it won't be like all 3 games for $60. It will be a higher price than that because they already do a double pack of 7 Remake and Rebirth on the PS5 store. They did that before it came out, like a double pack.
Yeah.
So I anticipate that they'll do like 1 year afterwards, they'll do like a triple pack of some kind. And then you can also buy the games individually as well. Like that's how I see them doing this.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm curious if they're really motivated to put it on Xbox just because of the way that the ship is sinking, man. Xbox is like, even I, as an Xbox like player and fan, I could just see it going down apparently. So
yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but true. But still, people even so, people still buy games there. So and Square
That's true.
keeps releasing games there. So I think that they see that there's like merit in doing so because they talked about that openly. So I think whenever there's a possibility it's coming there, it will be. But Jace brings up an important point here. A year after Returns, which we're assuming this the final one's going to be called, but we don't actually know. It'll be Final Fantasy VII R something. It'll be what it's called. By the time it comes out in 2028, Remake will have been out for 8 years by then, which is funny to think about. And then Rebirth by 4. So they could actually do. So Jace points out that they actually could do a $70 price point for all 3, essentially.
Because
they will be really, really old games at that point.
It's so weird to think that though, because even when I play like something like Witcher 3 right now, which is almost 10 years old, it doesn't feel like, oh, that's a 10-year-old game. Yeah. I don't know. That's just me. I think games graphics and the fidelity and then the hour pack content holds a lot more value these days than it was 10, 20 years ago. Yeah. I'm curious. Again, I'm still curious if they'll put it on Xbox again in 2028. What is the status of Xbox? I'm really curious what that is. Is it the cloud service or is it the console? So
yeah,
it'll be on our fridge.
It'll be whatever the cloud service evolves into, Garrett. Xbox on your fridge. Your fridge is an Xbox.
Can't wait to play Doom there. So
it's gonna be. I can't wait for Doom. That game's gonna be awesome. Anyways, moving on to more exciting things. You mentioned Witcher. The Witcher 4 got a trailer, Garrett, starring Ciri, coming who knows when? Question mark is what I put on the document, because who knows when The Witcher comes out, because CD Projekt Red, we talked about this on PlayStation Drive a little bit this week, but like when CD Projekt Red announces a game, they're just usually they usually announce it like 5 years or 8 years even before it comes out.
Yeah. So the Cyberpunk trailer reveal, that was what year? That was like 2013?
It was 2013, yep.
Yeah, so 7 years later.
Yep.
That's when we got the game.
And then it was broken at launch too, so it really didn't come out until like the following year, like in its actual fixed date.
Mm-hmm. I have hope it's a little shorter for Witcher 4. Just because they kind of know they know the world, they know the lore a little bit better. So I'm hoping it's a little closer than 7 years apart. I'm guessing 2028 or something like that. You even see in the trailer, this is like on an unannounced NVIDIA GPU. Yeah. I thought that was a little hilarious as well.
Also, I pointed this out on PlayStation Drive as well, and I'll point this out here. They didn't announce any platforms for it.
No, they didn't.
So the fact that they didn't announce any platforms like and the fact that it was on unannounced GPU hardware, I'm like, this game is definitely like a next gen game. This is a PS6 game.
Yeah.
Which is funny because we had this debate on PlayStation Drive where Ron and Matt were dead set against me on this, but saying that this would come out before Naughty Dog's next IP, Intergalactic, which was announced for PlayStation 5. To which I'm like, but they announced the game was for PlayStation 5. This is obviously a PlayStation 6 game. So like, how is Witcher 4 gonna come out first?
So yeah, and I think also they definitely are learning mistakes from Cyberpunk. You know, from releasing in PS4 and Xbox One. I'm sure they learned their lesson on that. It's like, we cannot do that. Yep. Even if we have to wait a year, we will do that in order to release it on the next gen. I think that's really in their mindset when it comes to this game.
Or at the very least, because they'll do what they didn't do with Cyberpunk, which is what they should have done. Whereas what they should have done is they should have had a next gen version ready to go day one, and then release the previous gen version instead of only releasing the previous gen version that barely ran. Because I think like they could release The Witcher 4 on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, but they also should release like a next gen one, to your point, like release both. Like make it a cross-gen game if you're going to release it at all on those previous platforms.
You know, there's some studios, it's very interesting. The Hogwarts Legacy and Star Wars Jedi Survivor, they both did this, where they released it on current-gen platforms, PS5, Xbox One, or Series or whatever. Then they released the previous-gen versions months, even to a year later. It's like, all right, no, we're also releasing on these systems. I can see that going.
That's true too. They could do something like that. In fact, it made me also think about the fact that Hogwarts Legacy then 8 months later then also came out on Switch. 8 months after that, PS4 and Xbox One version came out.
And I think it was the smartest idea because they're doing a few things here. One is that they are releasing on the most high end of for the consoles in general. So they're in this zeitgeist. They're in the main audience for that, and they are still promising some sort of release of previous gen hardware or Switch or whatever. When that releases 8 months to a year later, they're so well optimized with their game and their versions that they'll release it on those platforms a much a bigger audience, but that bigger audience is not as I would say technically sensitive. That they play the game and they're much more tolerant of its load times, of its jitteriness, of its jagginess or whatever. That it's not even in the, top of the mind gamer zeitgeist in general. So I think that's a smart move is, putting it on the higher end / whatever gen of platforms there are. And then if you want to optimize it and then putting it to a larger audience later, you can do that. Yeah.
By the way, Garrett, the one thing we didn't talk about, are you excited about this game?
I am so excited about Witcher 4, man. I had goosebumps seeing this game, seeing the cinematic reveal, even though I know it's like years later on out or whatever. But for folks who have not played Witcher 3, they should absolutely do so before getting into Witcher 4. You have the time. You have years on out before getting into this game. I implore you, just try it out. Just try out the game. But if you really can't tolerate whatever the combat system or it's too long or whatever, just watch the story or whatever.
Or do what I did: play the game for 45 hours and then just be like, "Well, I'm good. I've seen everything I need to see."
Yeah, pretty much.
Because that's like a full game's worth of experience right there. I had fun with the 45 hours, but I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
You just still gotta watch the ending. But anyways, for folks who don't know, the main protagonist is Ciri, which is kind of the next mainline character that is a Witcher. Previous, of course, Witcher 1, 2, and 3, it was Geralt. Geralt is always the major character, and he's the Witcher. And Witcher is the kind of the mercenary contractor out in this world that fights against specialized monsters that are in this world. It's just so good. So the Witcher they have mutagens, they have special powers, special potions or whatever in order to combat these monsters. Of course, they get into a situation, as you saw in the video, about a village or about a faction. There are, of course, other characters that are in relationship with the Witcher. Of course, there's multiple Witchers and castles and stuff like that. I cannot say.
For audio listeners, Starry Athena put in the chat, lol, please don't say Siri. You'll wake up someone's phone. But that's her name, though. Sorry. That's the name of the character. We can't help it.
Yeah. Sorry about that. You're going to hear that a lot, so better turn off your iPhones.
Look, it's CD Projekt Red's fault. It's not our fault. We didn't name the character. We're only.
It's not CD Projekt's Red's fault.
No,
and
I know.
It's not the author's fault either.
Yeah, that's true.
It's Apple's fault.
Yeah.
But this, dude, I was seeing just seeing the combat of Ciri much different than Geralt as well. You got the chain that lights up with fire that just destroys the head. Oh my gosh. It's man, and then like going back with the head, but the patrol with the village, man, it's I'm sorry. You got to watch the trailer, guys. You just got to do it. It's so good. Yeah. I love it. So.
It also just sets like a really serious tone for where they're going with the story too. Because like Ciri is just a much more serious character than someone like Geralt is, because he's always kind of like playful a little bit. Where Ciri just, at least the tone I get across from her and the main, like in Witcher 3 was just she's like a very serious character.
Yeah. She turns out to be pretty serious, and understandably so due to her past. So again, play The Witcher 3, play the DLC, The Blood and Wine. So good. Yep. You got to play it, Ryan. I don't care if you play the main game, play Blood and Wine. That's the good stuff.
But
that's the good DLC.
So what you're saying is it's the wine equivalent, because people like wine. I should just
for sure.
God, I don't know what I'm doing.
And it was just so pretty at the time. I was playing it on PS4, and I'm just like, dang, this looks so good. I cannot wait for Witcher 4. That'll come out in 2028.
All
hopefully.
Right, Garrett, you've sold me. I'm gonna present this to you here. I have added it to the 2025 video game goals. Give Witcher 3 another chance.
Just put it very low on the list, because it's a hefty order.
It's on number 18 on the list, Garrett.
Okay, good.
Currently,
Good.
On the list of tasks. I talked about this on last week's show. This is my list of gaming goals that I have for next year that I want to play, since I'm not buying games for the first half of next year. So these are some of the goals I have, and I put give Witcher 3 another chance on this list. And yes,
people have to understand the Final Fantasy 10 and 8 fans out there. That's me with Witcher 3. It's like, I don't know. It's what I know. There's definitely flaws in that game, but I don't care. Like, I just love that game.
What you're saying, Garrett, is if you still wrote in questions for the show, you would write in a question every week about Witcher 3, like Awesome Dave does with Final Fantasy 8.
Probably not to that extent, but pretty close. Close.
Yeah. According to Jace, Final Fantasy 8 has no flaws.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
Yeah.
I no comment, because I haven't played the game, so I just,
I'm sorry, Jace, but Final Fantasy 8 missed out on its chance to be the Final Fantasy game I give a second chance to next year, because I decided to do Final Fantasy 10 instead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Interesting.
I'm sorry. But at least Jace will probably I made up for it, because play through Mega Man X3 for the first time is also on my list, and I know Jace will probably be okay with that being there instead.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But anyways, moving on. Elden Ring got a new game announced. All of a sudden, it's not just DLC, it's a full new game. Elden Ring Night Reign is announced. It's a standalone multiplayer RPG in the world of Elden Ring, and it's coming this year, 2025, at some point. It looks like just multiplayer Elden Ring with more bosses in a bigger, different world. It's all shadowy now.
That's pretty interesting to hear.
That's honestly not something I had on my bingo card at all. I expected we'd probably see like whatever's next from Software, and then they announced kind of ahead of time that they weren't going to do any more Elden Ring stuff, except for this, apparently. So they're not going to do, because they mentioned, we're not going to do an Elden Ring 2. And this is not Elden Ring 2. It's a different Elden Ring thing.
That is true. they're not doing an Elden Ring too. I think they were pretty surprised by the amount of people getting the multiplayer mod into the Elden Ring game and doing this. Maybe of course they planned this ahead. Like, of course they haven't made this game in a year or so, or a couple years. But I'm sure this was in their minds as they were developing. I was like, what if you had another player just with you? And of course they always dabbled with it with their Dark Souls and Elden Ring games, of course. So yeah, why not? Why not try this out? I'm glad that they are trying different things. Yeah,
I am too
with their games.
Because like even though it's more Elden Ring, it's like a much different take on Elden Ring.
Oh yeah,
and I think this might be fun to just play with friends. If I'm being honest.
Oh yeah, I think it would be open to a larger audience that don't particularly want to get into the heavy, difficult, hardcore Dark Souls, Elden Ring stuff. Yeah. It's like, oh, I just want help from my friends who are into this stuff. And I think they understand that. It's like, okay, we'll just do a multiplayer Elden Ring game. And I think that fits quite well with a lot of people.
Okay. First up, Smokin Joe.
Yeah.
Hopping on in here, subscribing over on Twitch. Thank you so much, Smokin Joe.
Thank you, Smokin Joe.
Second, Garrett, I'm actually excited about this one. I kind of want to play this.
Oh, which one?
Night Rain. I kind of want to play Night Rain. I liked Elden Ring. I talked about it before where I played 30 hours of Elden Ring. The world was just too big and I just didn't want to keep playing it. But like for the 30 hours I played of Elden Ring, I actually really liked it. So being able to play with multiplayer, I think is like the exact kick I think it needed for me to want to go back and play Elden Ring again.
Okay.
So I actually think I might actually try this out when it comes out. I'm actually pretty excited about this.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Who are you going to play it with?
I'll find people. There are people in the carpool gaming community that play Elden Ring. Maybe we'll do some carpool community stuff for Elden Ring.
Yeah, community like stream, Discord stream or whatever.
Yeah, we could do something like that. Who knows? I mean, people
cool
do
with
that
that.
with Neon White now. We can do that with Elden Ring. So.
Yeah, definitely, because Neon White is the GOAT apparently this year and last year.
People keep saying that. The only thing, of course, the only caveat is as long as it doesn't come out in the first half of the year, because I'm barred from buying it until the second half of the year. But other than that,
true.
I'm interested in playing this one. Because, believe it or not, I do play some multiplayer only games, Garrett. I play Killer Clowns from Outer Space all the time, as an example. Like that's a multiplayer only game.
That's what a lot of people, a lot of multiplayer people play that game for sure.
I mean, there's a lot of horror games that are like that, like asymmetric multiplayer games, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Dead by Daylight,
Friday the 13th. Like a lot of those people still play those. So
yeah, they do. No, they are into it. Like, yeah, it's interesting.
Whereas I play them as a passerby, and I love horror movies, so they're interesting for me. But Garrett, something that didn't win me over, but I'm curious to know since you're actually a big fan of this franchise, Borderlands 4 got a new trailer. It was a gameplay trailer, so we got to see what the game looks like, because before it was just the first trailer we got at Gamescom was just the mask of Borderlands 4 announcing that it was coming. But this time Borderlands 4 got a new gameplay trailer, and it's coming out next year, 2025. This trailer did not do anything for me at all, because honestly, it just looked like more Borderlands, like it looked, and to be fair, I don't know what else I was hoping for, but it just, I don't know, it just felt to me like I was watching another trailer for like Tiny Tina or Borderlands 3 when I was watching the trailer for this. But what do you think about this?
I think, I watched the trailer. At first, I thought it was pretty generic. I'm like, okay, there's not much improvements going on in terms of graphics wise or whatever, which is to be expected just at this point, because we're only 5 years apart from Borderlands 3, and the cell shaded art style is not going to improve that much later on. I am intrigued on what the story is, just because I don't know what these factions are particularly. I don't know where they came from. So I'm just curious of what the villains and the factions are in general. Because 3's villain was terrible. The twins or whatever that did the live stream or whatever, that was bad. It's just bad writing in general. I just hated it. I was not overly excited or enthralled about the characters, the main vault hunters. They didn't seem unique to me at all. They looked pretty generic.
Yeah.
So But I want to hold off reservations until I see the game a little bit more and then see the character trailers and figure out what these characters are. So I'm kind of lukewarm. I'm like, okay, I want this. I'm rooting for it because I love Borderlands as a franchise. I'm rooting for this game. I'm just, I want to make sure to give it a fair shake,
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, even though I'm like prematurely judging it a little bit, I am aware of that, but I also I'm also kind of rooting for it too, because I liked Tiny Tina a lot, which is the newest game in the series, even though it's not technically a Borderlands game. It's different, but it's also the same. So I kind of want this to be good too, because I like Tiny Tina. Whereas Borderlands 3, I also was not into either. And Jace points out, like, how has it been 5 years since Borderlands 3 came out? And I don't know either.
More than 5 years. Isn't that crazy?
2019. It came out in 2019.
Yeah, and there's another sequel that's we're about to talk about that also came out in 2019. It's just crazy.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Crazy. Because, these were both previous gen games when they came out. But
insane.
That both, of course, got current gen kind of remakes of them.
That's true.
Because the last announcement that we talked about, because there weren't a lot of other RPG announcements here, but we did get a new trailer for The Outer Worlds 2. The Outer Worlds 2 was announced at the Game Awards, I think, 2 years ago, but then finally reemerged with a brand new trailer this year with gameplay, and it was still another kind of like tongue-in-cheek kind of trailer like the last one.
Yeah.
And it's also coming out in 2025, because before we didn't have a date for it. They just said it's coming out at some point in the future. So we actually have both Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed coming from Obsidian in the same year.
I wouldn't say like huge RPGs, but they're major RPGs. They're major games coming out the same year, 2025. That's very interesting to hear.
They also mentioned in the trailer for this one 3 times bigger than the Outer Worlds 2, like 3 times longer than the Outer Worlds 2 as far as
interesting.
So it sounds like it's going to be a much longer game, because a lot of people's main criticism of Outer Worlds, for whatever reason, was that it was short. Like the campaign was short. But I don't know. I kind of liked that about that. Like, I liked that the campaign wasn't that long, and then you could just go and do other stuff.
Yeah. I was playing it, and then I was done with the game. I'm like, oh, that was a good experience. I think I want to play the DLC for this game, so I may do a replay sometime. I don't know. Like, again, I'm not putting in the backlog. It's still out of the bounds there, but definitely I want to go back into, especially with that definitive edition or whatever. I have that on Steam, and I have it on Steam Deck. It would be good to go through.
Okay. Well, Garrett, do you want to know, because we talked about Outer Worlds being a short game, do you want to know what the current world record is for Outer Worlds, the original one, as far as how quick it is to beat that game?
Oh, how quick? How about an hour and a half?
Ha! That's funny. 10 minutes and 32 seconds.
How would you do? Well,
there's a bug in the very first level that skips you directly to the ship at the end of the game.
Interesting. Okay, 10 minutes. Wow.
Yeah, it's actually kind of similar to Oblivion. If you've ever watched an Oblivion speedrun before, there's kind of the same thing where, like, in that sewer that you're trying to escape through with the king, there's like a secret door that you can clip through that then clips you into the final battle of Oblivion.
That's crazy.
Is so weird, man.
How is that open? Like, how does that become a thing?
How does someone discover that that's a thing?
And then how does someone discover that's a thing? That's two very big questions I have for, I think just game development. They're like, okay, I know there's an ending, there's a beginning and there's an end. So let's just create those.
Yep.
And they're kind of conjoined. They're kind of attached somehow.
But maybe when you think about it, Garrett, it might be very similar to why cheat codes used to exist in old games, because cheat codes existed in games for developers to get to certain points in the game or give them certain assists that they could play through the game with in order to bug test it. And then they just left them in the game when the game came out. And when cheat codes disappeared, developers still need loopholes to kind of get to certain sections of the game. So I think something like this was just a loophole left in that a developer used to help test the game that was there on purpose to maybe test the ending or something like that over and over again. So they probably just left the code in the game thinking no one would go out of bounds in that exact spot.
Yeah, no, that's totally that totally makes sense for sure.
Yeah. But either way, Outer Worlds 2, dude, I think this game looks great. I can't wait.
It looks great.
It looks like more Outer Worlds, but you know what? I'm like not as sick of that formula as the Borderlands formula, which is why like this appeals so much more to me. Like I'm actually pretty excited about this one.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think I'm still more excited about Avowed.
Okay.
And going through that, but this is definitely on my radar, and of course it's going to be on Xbox Game Pass, so I'm definitely going to play it there.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm just letting you know, Ryan. 2 games, Avowed, they're about to release. They're done, and then they got this Outer Worlds 2. It's coming out later that year. They're done. What are they gonna do, Ryan? What are they gonna do after that?
It could literally be anything.
It could literally be anything.
I would say just like, oh, they'll go back to Pillars of Eternity, but they're kind of doing that with Avowed. So I don't know what they do after that. Maybe another licensed IP, or maybe they do another South Park game or something like that. Something weird like that. That's what I'm kind of imagining is them doing like a weird like spin-off game, either with one of Microsoft's IPs, maybe just an original thing. Because you also have to remember they also did Pentiment as well. And Grounded. Like they've done all kinds of weird stuff over there.
Yeah. Grounded and Pentiment are smaller teams. I imagine that they'll do another small team game.
That's what I think their next thing will be after this. It'll be like a small team kind of thing.
I'm just wondering what their next big game is, Ryan. What is it going to be?
I mean, Outer Worlds 3 is probably going to be a thing, I would imagine.
I'm just thinking of Fallout, Ryan. Come on, just give me Fallout New Vegas 2.
I'm just dancing around it at this point.
Just give me that. Just give us the answer. Of course, line it up with... Well, you can't really line it up with Fallout Season 2, but...
No, I still think that... But we talked about it before, because this was on the NVIDIA League. I still think that the New Vegas remaster...
The remaster, sure.
...is coming. Like with the TV show. Like with Season 2.
Yeah, I could totally see that for sure.
But then from there... I think that's where you kind of get into New Vegas 2 territory, which I thought that was hilarious that in the Outer Worlds trailer, 2 trailer, they reference New Vegas because they're talking about the sequels they made because, of course, Outer Worlds 2 is the sequel. They're like Fallout 3, 2, which, of course, was just Fallout New Vegas.
I love it. Yeah, no, they're super hilarious in that trailer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm totally digging the vibe of Outer Worlds 2. I'm looking forward to playing it next year.
I think it should be pretty cool. But anyways, that was all the announcements from the Game Awards. In terms of RPGs, again, ton of other announcements at the Game Overview. If you want to hear more about the other non-RPG announcements, we talked about them on PlayStation Drive this week, and I know Sean and the Xbox Drive crew talked about them on the Xbox Drive. And so make sure to go check out those shows for our other analysis on kind of the other awards, including the announcement that got me to jump out of my chair and scream from the top of my lungs because I couldn't believe that it was announced.
Yeah.
It's spoiler alert. It was Ninja Gaiden. I like that game a lot. I'm interested in that game a lot.
Wait, which game?
Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden looked dope, man. That looks so good.
I mean, it's the first 2D Ninja Gaiden game since Ninja Gaiden 3 on the NES. Of course, I'm excited for it. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it looks really good. I got to hand it to you. When I saw that trailer, I'm like, dang, I want to play this. It just, very fast-paced, very artistic. Yeah, I'm down.
And I already know that they're going to like really, really go all out with the cinematics because that was like a big thing for the 2D NES Ninja Gaiden games was the cutscenes. So I think that because it was one of the first games, Garrett, that had cutscenes. So I really think they're going to do like a hammer that home with this one. But FCO Zed says, I was really hyped for Onimusha. I also am really excited that Onimusha is back too. But again, not a role-playing game, more like a survival horror game. Moving on, of course, we got to hear from the NPCs, Garrett, the non-podcast characters, kind of round out the podcast. First up, we got Fulia, who says, hello, friends. How happy are you that Metaphor Refantastico came away with quite a few wins, including based role-playing game? This game might end up on my Christmas wish list. I mean, I think we're both pretty happy that Metaphor won a bunch of awards.
Yeah, for sure.
We talked about it earlier. But You should pick it up fully. I think this game's really good. Or play the demo and see if you like it, because the demo's
there is a demo, right?
Yeah.
There's a demo that carries over.
It's like
yeah,
6
no, it's a
hours or
big
something.
demo. It's a huge demo.
It's a huge demo.
Yeah. Fulia, I would try out the demo first. Now, if someone came up to me, it was someone like Fulia who loves to dive into games, like new games, but like maybe not the most experienced in terms of RPGs. It's I'm wondering what I would recommend to them. I don't think it would be Metaphor first.
Yeah, it's probably not like a beginner's RPG.
It is not a beginner's RPG. I would say even Persona 3 Reload would be a little bit more simpler, you know, just to go through. I'm thinking in terms of the calendar system and Persona-like system.
Sure. But I also think like someone who's like newer to role-playing games shouldn't be playing either one of those games. You should start with something like Chrono Trigger or something like that, like something that is a little bit more approachable.
Yeah, definitely. Although Persona 3 Reload, you do have missable social links, which would...
That's what I mean. Like, there's a lot of stuff.
Drives me nuts.
If you're not doing like following a guide, you're just going to be filled with regret playing that game.
Yeah, no, that's definitely it.
Because now you know how I felt, Garrett, playing Metaphor before the game came out and being like, oh, there's no guides for this. So I missed a whole bunch of stuff that I was really sad about after I finished it.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, other than that, I mean, I recommend Metaphor if you're really into story-driven RPGs, visual novels, really want to bend the mind, and then you're pretty... I would say you got to pay attention. You got to be pretty adept with the turn-based strategy game. Especially pay attention to the classes that they recommend in the dungeons. Like, follow that to a T, because if you don't... you will mess up in some of these dungeons. I've got my butt handed to on a couple of these. I'm like, I should not have been beaten down so badly.
Yeah, because that game has like some difficulty spikes if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, definitely. Other than that, Metaphor is it's a fantastic game so far from what I've played. So
and like I said, the trial's out there. If people want to go play it, like
play that demo.
It's pretty beefy. It's like 7 hours. So good luck.
Yeah.
And I think by the end of that, you'll know whether or not you'll like the game, because it gives you, even the demo gives you like a chance to try out like the calendar stuff as well. So you get to see like that aspect as well as like the dungeon crawling stuff. So I think it's a nice mix and balance there. Next up, Final Fantasy VIII is Life, Final Fantasy VIII is Love. Says,
oh gosh.
How surprised were you that yet again World of Warcraft was not nominated for Best Ongoing Game? That surprises me in particular, Awesome Dave, because I think if there was a year that World of Warcraft was going to be nominated, it was going to be this year. Because Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft is actually had a really good year this year. Like with the War Within, I think it's a great expansion. It's also World of Warcraft's 30th anniversary. I even think WoW Classic has been really good this year too. Like, and they made a bunch of big announcements this year for World of Warcraft with more stuff coming next year. Like, I think it'll get its dues eventually, Awesome Dave. But I really feel like this year was really its big chance to make an impact for that award, and it just didn't. Which is too bad, because I think it's really, I think it's a very, very solidly, built upon game that continues to get great new content over time. But.
Yeah, that should have been at least nominated. What was the list again for best ongoing game? There was Destiny 2 in there.
Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2, which
Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah. Okay.
No Man's Sky, and there was one other one. I think it was Fortnite.
Oh, Baldur's Gate 3.
Fortnite was the other one.
Fortnite. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate was community support, but not
community support. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I just feel like it's just the typical list of ongoing games, and World of Warcraft just gets swept under the rug.
Yeah. I mean, I will argue that now that there's been some time that's separating things, I actually think The War Within is probably a better expansion than Dawn Trail from Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, and that's why I hear that Dawn Trail was a little bit underwhelming, whereas the other DLC for World of Warcraft was really good. So,
Yeah.
Cool.
But anyways, one of these years, Awesome Dave. One of these years, maybe when the when the final expansion of the trilogy that they're currently in comes out, which I think is going to be really awesome. I think maybe that's when it gets its dues. But final question of this week, Garrett, has nothing to do with the Game Awards at all. Comes to us from Rybo, who asks, for some reason, I picture you both just wandering up to some random cave to host a podcast, and I love it. Where is this cave? Are there bats in it? Also, real talk, what is the best battle system? A menu like the landmark Final Fantasy VIII, whatever Xenoblade Chronicles is, or an MMO style? What is the best RPG battle system, do we think, Garrett?
Oh, can we answer the actual question here about the cave? What is the cave, Ryan?
I don't know.
What is it? I imagine a Batman cave or the Mermaid Man cave, the Merman cave. What's the one from SpongeBob? I forgot.
I've never seen SpongeBob. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. It's Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, and they definitely have a cave. Oh wait, it was the villain cave over there. I imagine that.
For whatever reason, Garrett, when I picture the RPG cave, I think of Goro's lair from Mortal Kombat, which is more like a dungeon and not really a cave. But,
so depressing.
But if you play Mortal Kombat 1, it's all gray. It's kind of like a cave. It's got cavey kind of atmosphere with like bars, and behind them they've got like little monsters with like glowing yellow eyes. I think about that, and I'm like, for whatever reason, that's the image that comes to mind when I think about the cave from the RPG cave.
Rybo, I imagine stalagmites and just constant water dripping from those stalagmites. And then, yes, of course, there's bats in there. How do we play games in there? I don't know. There's no electricity. I mean, how do we record in this podcast? I just don't know. I don't know what we're doing in here. We're
just using USB battery power at this point, Garrett, to power this podcast. Okay,
pretty much.
Now we know. Now we understand why the power went out, Garrett, because we're recording in a cave, and the cave the batteries died, and the power went out. You know,
that's basically it. Thank you, Rybo, for the question. The battle system that I enjoy the most, and I think people know this by now. My favorite battle system is turn-based games. Mm-hmm. I particularly like, of course, I grew up with Pokemon, so I do enjoy that system itself. Of course, and now I'm, a little bit more hardcore-ish, I would like the Shin Megami Tensei series quite a bit. I like 5 the most, for sure. That's one of my favorite battle systems. I know it's crazy. I still don't have Vengeance. I'll get it eventually, but
I may have picked that one up, Garrett. It's in the mail on the way to me.
Good. Go grab it.
You want to know why I picked it up? Because it was $20 Canadian with no tax.
That's so good. $20?
Yep.
Canadian. That's like 10 over here.
Yeah,
crazy.
It is. It's like 15 American dollars. So, but I don't think it comes with the steelbook. It's labeled as standard edition.
Yeah. You're not going to get the launch steelbook edition.
I'm okay with that. I just want to play the game.
I want the steelbook. I don't even care about the game. I want the steelbook now. But anyways, I like the battle system quite a bit in that game. The story, it's fine. It left to be had. Pacing is fine. I think it's punishing, deservedly so, but it's also, it's not as soft. There's not much soft locking in that game compared to the previous Shin Megami Tenseis, where there's just soft locks everywhere. I think it will be okay for anyone in that. It's brutal, but you can get out of it. You can kind of escape from it. You can brute force your way through if you really need to. So
nice.
Yeah.
As for me, honestly, my favorite combat system in a role-playing game is not your traditional role-playing system. It's the combat system in Shining Force. I like the fast-paced strategy role-playing system that Shining Force has. That's honestly probably my favorite role-playing system.
That's a good one.
System. I really just like the strategic style to it, but also that it's not too bogged down by its own systems to not be fun. Like, I like the fact that we talked about it before when talking about Shining Force, but one of the big things that I like over those games, over Fire Emblem, is just how fast paced the battles are, because you just get in and out very quickly, and it's just very arcadey, and very fun. So that's kind of what I prefer about them. So I think that's probably my favorite RPG battle system is the strategy role playing combat from Shining Force. But if I'm thinking about like more traditional role playing games, Then I like the active time battle system from the older Final Fantasy games or something like Chrono Trigger. Like I like those a lot.
Okay.
But we'll bring in some of the chat ones. First of all, FCO RMZ says the skull in Goro's lair is really scary. Fulia mentions that her comment wasn't noticed at all, but we actually noticed your comment, Fulia, about being the demo queen, how you played all the demos. So.
Oh yeah, no, play this demo.
I saw that you mentioned that you played the demo. So.
Oh, you did play the demo. All right, did you like it or not? If you liked it, go buy it.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you like the demo, go play that game. It's really good. But FCO RMZ says the Chrono Trigger system and the Final Fantasy VIII system because FCO RMZ really likes Final Fantasy VIII.
We got another fan, another Final Fantasy VIII fan. Or is it the same fan?
Well, and then we've also got Jace, who chimes in, who mentions a
I don't even
enemy.
know this game.
Let me just see here. Known as is a signature ability of it's basically the limit break of Squall. He just mentions that.
Oh yeah, okay.
I had to actually look that up because I didn't know enough about limit breaks from Final Fantasy VIII to know what that means. So, of course, he's probably just chiming in regards to FCO's comment, but had to throw that out there as well. We love you, Jace. But yeah, so that's it. I think that's gonna do it for the show. I'm sure I could have done this less awkwardly, but you know what? We got through this.
We're gonna mosey on out of here.
We're going to mosey on in here. But before we go, Garrett, we of course have to say thank you to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/Carpool Gaming. Started with our ultimate producers, Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on the PlayStation Drive and the Xbox Drive. Check out all of his music over at his Linktree, linktr.ee/pme.jib. In fact, he's got a new album coming out pretty soon. He's got his new single out called Forgotten. So make sure to go check that out right meow. Cwagmire, who humbly reminds me that the best babes are in fact Xenobabes, and TechMike, who says, whether you're Kevesi or Agnian, you're a Xenobabe at heart. Links to all of our ultimate producers can always be found in the description of our podcasts. Our platinum producers, Smokin Joe, Solo, the Captain, and Tim Paullin, and our gold members, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, Brad Moore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Emily O'Kelly, John 32, Ligerwoods 330, OldMrFrump, Patrice Mallette, Peje, Shane Erickson, TheDonRob, and the Jiggy Collector. Huge thank you once again to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/Carpool Gaming. If you want to head over there, choose the tier that's right for you. You have to hop in the car with us. And Garrett, plugs go.
You can follow me at Blue Sky at Blaine Explosion. And you can also follow me on the Backlogged website at Blaine Explosion. I'm also on the Discord. I read every single one of your messages on the RPG Cave. Every single one. And yes, you, including you, Kevin Ainsworth.
Whoa,
bragging about Tales of series and then crapping on Dragon Quest series. It's just like, wow. Someone just put a stake in. They chose a side.
Well, I mean, that's because the Tales of games are really good, Garrett.
Anyways, I'm done. Go for it, Ryan.
Oh my God. As for me, you can always find me on Backlogged at Ryan Turford. I'm also just not on Twitter or Blue Sky, so don't look for me there. But you can also look for me in the Discord at Ryan Turford. I don't know what it is. I'm just not really posting on Twitter anymore. So you can go find me on the Discord or on Backlogged. Also, you can find us, Carpool Gaming, on Blue Sky at Carpool Gaming. You can also find us right here, youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, twitch.tv/Carpool Gaming Live. And of course, podcast services are around the globe. So for Garrett Bland, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been the 165th level of the RPG Cave. Only one more episode of the show for 2024, and we're out.
Bye-bye.